Welcome to The Explainer. In a world that feels like it's facing more and more hazards, there's a specific tool designed to keep us safe, the early warning system. So, what even is one? How do they actually work? And as we're going to see, why are they so much more than just a piece of technology?
To really get why this is so urgent, let's just start with a pretty stark number. Over the last 50 years, the number of recorded weather, climate, and water-related disasters has gone up fivefold. Think about that for a second. That's basically one disaster happening somewhere on the planet every single day. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll nail down exactly what an EWS is. Then we'll look at the powerful reasons we need them. We'll break down how they really work, explore why it's about more than just tech, and finally, we'll ask the big question, are we actually listening to the warnings?
Okay, let's get on the same page. Before we dive any deeper, we need a really clear, solid definition of what an early warning system, you'll hear it called an EWS, actually is.
So, this is the official definition from the UN. Now, I know it sounds a little academic, but there are a few words in here that are absolutely key. Timely and meaningful. A warning that's late or one you can't understand is totally useless, right? But the most crucial part is the goal, to enable people to act. The whole point of the entire system is to trigger action. And this right here, this is probably the single most important idea in this whole explainer. An early warning system isn't just a collection of sensors and sirens. It's a social process. It has to be deeply woven into the fabric of a community, with all the technology there to serve the people, not the other way around. So when these social processes work the way they're supposed to, what's the actual result? Well, the impact isn't just theoretical. You can literally measure it in lives saved and economies protected.
The data on this is just incredible. Get this, issuing a warning just 24 hours before a major storm or a flood hits can cut the damage that follows by 30%. That is a massive reduction in loss from just one single day's notice. And if we zoom out to the whole planet, the numbers get kind of crazy. Effective early warning systems could prevent economic losses between $3 and $16 billion every single year. It's honestly one of the best investments any country can make. But this isn't really about the money. This shows the human impact. In 1970, the Ebola cyclone hit Bangladesh, and an estimated 300,000 people died, a horrifying number. But fast forward to 2007, after Bangladesh invested in a really robust warning and shelter system, a similarly powerful storm, Cyclone Siddeer, hit. This time, 3,000 people died. Now that's still a heartbreaking tragedy, of course, but it is a staggering 99% reduction in deaths. That is the power of a working system.
So how do you do that? How do you get a 99% reduction in casualties? What does a system like that actually look like? Well, it's not just one thing. It's four interconnected pieces that all have to be strong. And this diagram shows the complete framework perfectly. Think of a people-centered system like a four-legged stool. If any one of those legs fails, the entire thing can just collapse.
Let's walk through them real quick. First, you need risk knowledge. You have to know what dangers you're actually facing. Second is monitoring and warning. That's the tech side, tracking the hazard and seeing it coming. Third, dissemination and communication. You've got to get a clear warning to every single person at risk in a way they understand and trust. And finally, response capability. People have to know exactly what to do when that warning comes. And the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami is just a tragic, perfect example of what happens when one of those legs breaks. The monitoring part actually worked perfectly. A technical warning went out from the experts just minutes after the earthquake. But the dissemination and response links in the chain were broken. That message never got to the people on the coast in time, and there were no evacuation plans. The system, as a whole, failed. This brings us to a really fundamental shift in thinking that has totally transformed how experts approach these systems today.
Yeah, this quote just says it all. You can have the most advanced satellites and the smartest computers in the world, but if that very last link in the chain, the person on the ground, doesn't get the message or doesn't know what to do, then the entire system is basically worthless.
And this slide illustrates that change in thinking perfectly. The old way was called the last mile approach. You'd build the tech first, and then as an afterthought, you'd try to figure out how to push the info out to people. The new, much more effective first mile approach flips that completely. It starts with the community.
You involve people from day one, understanding their needs, who they trust, their local knowledge, and then you build the system with them.
And this table just lays out the difference so clearly. A traditional system is top-down, separate from the community, and it only really wakes up when a disaster is about to happen. A preferred modern system is totally different. It's integrated into daily life with education and training, it's led with the community, and it's focused on making everyone less vulnerable long before a siren ever has to go off.
So, look, we have the blueprint. We have these amazing examples of success. We know what works. The question that's left is, are we applying these hard-won lessons everywhere that we need to?
Because ultimately, the biggest hurdles aren't about building better weather models or faster communication networks. The real challenges are social and political. They're about getting long-term funding, building trust with communities, and having the political will to make this a constant priority, not just something we think about after a catastrophe.
And you know, these same ideas apply to more than just fast-moving storms. They also apply to these slow-moving, creeping hazards. I mean, think about climate change. In a way, scientific bodies like the IPCC are a global early warning system. They've identified the risk, they are monitoring the hazard, and they are definitely communicating the warnings.
And this really leaves us with a final critical thought. For the fast disasters and the slow ones, the warnings are getting louder and more frequent. The science is here. The framework for how to act exists. The only missing element, that final pillar of the system, is our response.